Good morning, everybody. Stu Smith here, going live. Hope you guys are well. Today, we are going to do a live Q&A as well as some CSS critiques this morning. But as you guys congregate, let's talk a little bit about probably what I see is the biggest screw up in people preparing to go serve and have to prepare for a spec ops selection. And that is they don't prepare enough because they just do one of two phases that are required. The first phase is you're not even going to get an opportunity to go serve in these spec ops jobs unless, or any really tactical job for that matter, unless you pass a fitness test to go in. Some of those fitness tests are super easy. Some of them are super challenging and very competitive. So your scores matter. Not just minimum standards, I mean maximum effort, max scoring is the standard, especially in like special ops programs. Um, so that's the first thing. And unfortunately, where most people screw up is that's where they stop their preparation. They have gotten past this test, and now just because they didn't really give themselves enough time to prepare, they don't have any time to prepare for the next phase, and they get shipped off to boot camp or basic training or their academy, and now they're there going through the challenging part of the test, having not prepared specifically for that. So phase one, you prepare specifically for the entry level test that gets you the opportunity for the big selection. Now, somewhere between that time, you need to focus on a training cycle that is specific to that selection. If that means buds, for instance, you're going to be doing 4 mile timed runs instead of mile and a half timed runs. You're going to be doing 2 mile swims with fins instead of 500-yard swims without fins. You're going to continue doing pull ups, push ups, and sit ups, and flutter kicks, and bear crawls, and fireman carries, and all types of load bearing activities from logs and boats and rucking. You're going to be having pool skills that are tests, especially in first phase, that you need to master, whether that's treading or ground proofing or knot tying. All of those things require some practice. And that is where most people screw up. However, I will say this there are people who have prepared properly for all of that and still don't make it. There's something else that got them, whether it wasn't a physical thing. I would say, many of the people I talked to that decided it wasn't for them didn't fail physically. They had something in their head that didn't um, they didn't want it bad enough, perhaps. Maybe they didn't like being uncomfortable, wet, sandy, cold, miserable all the time. They weren't prepared for the grind that it is. So, yes, you can do everything right, but if you don't have a strong why are you doing this answer whenever that question gets asked internally, it could be another challenge that you weren't prepared for. So, phase one, crush the test. Phase two, focus on the specific events of the selection because that is the true test. And then part three is make sure you really want to do this. It's not just a job because you think it's cool. It is something that you really want to do and have been wanting to do it since you can barely remember. So there you go. That's my two-phase system for success physically. getting through those types of training. All right, let's see what we got here. Got some questions, and then we'll go right into the CSS critiques, which I got a couple lined up for you already. First question over here on Instagram. Looks like young man I know recently arrived at regular boot camp in an under skinny condition. Under skinny. I assume that means really skinny. Now he's delayed in the FIT program. Didn't have to be this way. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, put it this way. If you are not fit for boot camp, especially Navy boot camp, you're not fit at all, because that doesn't take much effort to prepare for the basics of Navy boot camp and even Air Force boot camp. I mean, it's going to be somewhat challenging, but if you've done nothing, expect to not do well. Now, the harder ones like Marine Corps and Army, you're going to be doing a lot more running and rucking and activities that are more challenging. So those you definitely need to pre-focus on. But if you've played sports and had PE classes growing up, there's no reason why you can't pass Navy boot camp. Seriously. Okay, let's see. Good morning. Have you seen that the U.S. Air Force is trying to move to a land-based selection? All us Air Force guys are now looking into the Navy to be aquatic. Um, uh, I've heard about that, but it doesn't mean they're not going to do water. I mean, maybe they're taking out the dive school, but I mean, I would still think PJs would need to be able to dive. I mean, maybe not. I don't know. You know, the Air Force is quite nimble in their creation and evolution of their training systems. But yeah, I mean, Navy will always have water part to it. Air Force, maybe they don't need it. I don't know. Never really thought about it. I just assumed that if a plane landed in the water, a PJ would be able to go dive down and get them. Maybe they just asked the Navy to do it. I don't know. Okay. Somebody's being funny over here. How can I be tough like you and built like you? I don't know, Mr. Singh. Just keep working. um, I'll be honest with you. I'll try to answer that, though I'm not really comfortable answering that. It does require some consistency, is my best answer. I have been working out for 43 years. I can honestly say consistently. 13 years old, I started exercising and I never stopped. It's because I loved it. And even if you don't love it, you can get a lot done in 30, 45 minutes that can make you very fit. And the worst, if that's the worst part of your day, everything's going to be so much better because you exercised. I mean, all the benefits of exercise, you know, everything from better sleep that night, better mood, more focus at work and school, um, clearer thinking. So even if the cost of exercising every day was 45 minutes to an hour that you hated, the benefits of the rest of the day are tenfold. So it helps if you really enjoy it, because it's something that you don't just need to do. You get to do it every day and you enjoy it. So yeah, consistency, my friend, that'll get you there. How long does it take to get ready for a PST? It depends on the person. I've seen people do it in a matter of a month, but I've seen people take 6 to 8 months to be able to do it. Especially people who weren't used to running, weren't used to swimming, and were strength athletes that just lifted heavy and not for reps. That's a completely different system of energy going to need to be practiced from power and strength to focus on muscle stamina and endurance in running and swimming. So it it really depends. I've seen wrestlers take no time with the pull up, push up, sit ups, and the run, but then being able to swim well takes them 6 months. I've seen runners do great with the running, teach them a little bit of swimming, and it was not long before their muscle stamina and endurance takes over the calisthenics side, and they're maxing out those events. So typically it really depends on your athletic history, your current fitness condition, as to how long it takes to get ready for a PST. All right, let's see. I'm going to be a selection at a YMCA when it comes to swimming. What do most people have trouble with? I'm going to a selection at YMCA. I don't understand that. What kind of selections at YMCA? Is it like a pre-boot camp training type thing? When it comes to swimming, what do most people have trouble with? They have trouble with swimming technique and conditioning and treading and other pool skills. Is this a spec ops selection, or are you just like preparing for a YMCA lifeguard course? Okay, that's funny. Somebody said senior citizens water aerobics selection. Yeah, usually selections are on military bases. That's why I was somewhat confused. It's not a real selection. It might be a screening program for a selection, but it's not considered a selection. I'm doing lots of running and low impact cardio, but not seeing a lot of improvement in my timed runs. Are you doing fast running? Or are you just doing a lot of zone 2 running and just getting good at running slow? That's my question. If you want to see improvement in timed runs, you need to start running faster pace. What's your favorite workout for running and for the pool? You know what? I like mixing the two together. um, and actually do a workout called a run, swim, run. So you run to the pool, you swim half an hour, and you run back. And you get a total of 4 or 5 miles of running in that, along with a mile of swimming, and you got yourself one heck of a workout. I I like those two together. But if I were doing them separately, per se, I personally like 50-50 swim workout, 50-meter freestyle, 50-meter CSS, 10-15 sets. That's a great one, especially for people who are new to the stroke and need to get in better shape, um, for swimming wise. And then my running one, I'd say there's a couple different ones. I like to just go to the track or a hill and run. So we'll run up and down the hill. Very challenging, makes running very hard. Or we go to the track and we'll run bleachers for like 15 minutes. Then we'll go to the field and run hundreds for like 15 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes. So you run 100 fast, 100 easy, and every minute on the minute, you do it again and see if you can maintain that pace for 10 to 15 minutes. And then after that, you run a series of 400s and 800s at your goal pace for timed runs. So if I'm running a 7-minute mile now and I want to run a 6-minute mile timed run, I need to practice running at a 6-minute mile for some amount of distance. Can you do it for a quarter mile? Most likely you can, right? It's just running a quarter mile in 90 seconds. And then can you do it for half a mile or 800, 2 laps around the track in 3 minutes? You do that, multiple sets of that. Next thing you know, you're putting them all together and you got yourself a 9-minute mile and a half at that pace. So there you go. That's my favorite running and swim workouts. I'm going to show some CSS now. Let's see, there's a few more questions out here, but I want to just get these CSS videos out of the way, and then we'll take more questions. All right. So this one's with fins. So let me know what you think. And so we're going to kick. And all right. So let me preface this. So working on this guy's swim, and I'm trying to get his scissor kick stronger. So he's doing a drill that we do called scissor kick and glide. Scissor kick and glide. So basically, he's swimming the CSS like he would be without fins, but he's got these big rocket fins on, and it forces you to do a proper scissor kick with some resistance, which I'm trying to build some hip power for him to open and close his legs quickly. So that's the drill here. Now, normally when I swim with fins, it's a constant flutter kick, and you just use your arms when you need to breathe. However, you can do this half the time. Let's say if you're doing a 2-mile ocean swim at Buds, for instance, typically you have a little bit of a current pushing you. That's a great time to do, save some energy, kick and hold the glide with the current. And then when you turn around and come back, you can't do that. You got to motorboat it all the way back. So it's more of a strategy using these two techniques in longer ocean swims versus, a method to only teach. So learn 2 ways: scissor kick, glide. Practice this to get your scissor kick stronger if you're using a scissor kick for your CSS without fins. And then apply that when you do your open water swims with the current against the current. All right, so let's see what we got here. So as you can see here, we got top arm, bottom arm, kick and hold the glide. He's got a little bit of flutter kicking going on there. That's probably because he's used to constant flutter kicking with fins. Big kick, hold the glide. But those are tiny flutter kicks. I wouldn't even consider that worthy of a fin flutter kick. So you need moderate sized flutter kicks, not a big scissor kick, but a good medium sized flutter kick if you're going to do constant flutter kicks. But this is just a drill that helps you with your scissor kick, keeps you on your side while you do your scissor kick. Some people have a problem with rolling over on their belly in the middle of their scissor kick, which really weakens the scissor kick. This is just a drill to help get that habit out of there. All right. Not bad, huh? Okay. I like that. That's good. So anyway, that's CSS with fins. All right, let's see what else we got here.
Good.
All right, so now we're back to without fins. Let's see what we got here. Kick off the wall, double arm pull, kick and glide, top arm, bottom arm, kick and glide. Only thing I'm seeing here is, and this is very nitpicky, is you don't need to turn over that much. Like you can have half your face in the water versus rolling over all the way up and looking up at the ceiling with your face. You can just look at the wall and still breathe doing this stroke, just like you would freestyle. There's no need to look backwards and up when you come up. But that, like I said, that's very nitpicky. If he does this for for 500 yards, he's going to be at 8 minutes. So it's a 48-second 50. Yeah, really good. Nothing really to critique here other than the over rotation that doesn't need to happen. Got a good kick, good streamline, good glide time. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi. Pull, perfect. Top arm, turn to breathe. Bottom arm, kick and glide. Top arm, turn. Bottom arm, breathe. Kick and glide. One more time. So good kickoff, double arm pull. I think we discussed him taking out those double arm pulls because I don't think they're helping him. A strategy for him would be to take out those double arm pulls and get 2 extra breaths per lap. And he'll be a lot less winded as he transitions into swimming this fast. All right, let's see what else I have here. I think I have some more swim videos to show you guys. Oh, I do. I have 2 more. So let me oh, okay. I don't know if I showed this last week, but I posted it and it got some laughs because there's 2 guys swimming side by side. One guy, the bottom, I've been yelling at him for at least a month on, your inefficiency in swimming will probably come back to bite you at some point because there's a lot of effort to get the same swim as the guy above. They both just broke 8 minutes on their 500-yard PST the other day. But if you notice, the guy up top does it in about 4 to 5 strokes, and the guy down bottom does 8 to 10 strokes. All right, and you'll see the bottom one is not pretty. I would be critiquing the bottom guy significantly, especially if he was not swimming 8 minutes. But I also say, hey, you're a cardio machine. You can handle doing this for 8 minutes and then crush the rest of the PST, which he did. Who am I to judge? So the good news is this guy probably only has to take the PST one more time, and he's done. All right, so top arm, bottom arm, kick and glide. As you can see, the guy up top is doing my method. Top arm turn, bottom arm breathe, kick and glide. And he's working half as hard as the guy on the bottom. But the guy on the bottom sticking with him. And he stayed with him the whole 500. I think the guy up top beat him by a second. So like a 158 and a 758, 759. You see there's a slight glide here. So I give him the benefit of a doubt because he has a little bit of a glide here, but he's still moving his arm. So his top arm's still pulling. And he might have 1 Mississippi. Yeah, barely has a glide. Let's do this again. So kick off the wall. No double arm pull, but first guy up top does a double arm pull. That's his first stroke right there, and the bottom guy is on his third. So you can see it's just going to be a lot of strokes compared to the guy up top. And I think the guy up top, that's his strong side, and then he switches sides, and this is his weak side. So he added a stroke on his weak side, whereas this guy stayed on his strong side the whole time and just stroked it out. I mean, getting tired of counting strokes, to be honest with you. But once again, who am I to judge? Guy made it through. The PST, fine. The good news is he doesn't have to take this test anymore. And when he puts on a pair of fins, he can just kick his legs, and 99% of his swims at Buds will be with a pair of fins on. So I'm not that concerned about it, but still not the way I teach it. But that's okay. All right, let's see. I got one more, and then we'll take some more questions from you guys. This one is, remember how we were talking about practicing the scissor kick with fins? This is why you need to do that, because I'm going to show you here real quick. if you have this problem. All right, so he kicks off the wall, too many dolphin kicks. Nobody, you're probably not doing a whole lot with that other than just getting tired. So top arm turn, bottom arm breathe, kick and glide. Very good, but if you notice, when he kicks, he's on his side here. But when he closes his legs, he is already on his belly. Or I'm working on him to fix this. So originally he would kick, and in the middle of his kick, he would be on his belly, and he would rotate his hips 90 degrees in the middle of his kick, which weakened the kick significantly. And we're almost kicking that habit. You can see he's getting better, but he has a tendency to want to roll over right on his belly. You don't have to do that. You can stay on your side the whole time if you wanted to and not weaken that kick. So here's my answer to it is you want to kick, and instead of already trying to rotate on your belly when your feet are together, use the glide to slowly rotate on your belly. So you do the kick, then your feet are together and you slowly rotate on your belly to get that top arm pull like a freestyle catch. But you don't have to roll over on your belly. I just particularly like to, but you don't have to. Top arm turn, bottom arm breathe, kick and glide. He's got a good stroke down. It's just right now it's just a little slow, and I think it's slow because of this kick and glide could be a little faster. In fact, I'm trying to see if his arms could be a little tighter. No, he's got a good arm recovery. It's tight. Yeah, could be a little more streamlined, but that's a tiny thing. All right, so there we go. There's my CSSs. So somebody has just asked a good question here. Zachary over here says, how has training for tactical athletes changed over time? Well, let me tell you, I'll give you a little bit of history of just my whole life. Well, first of all, the term tactical athlete did not exist until about 2008. Okay, so I had been in the military, police, and firefighter fitness business for almost 10 years by the time I first heard the term tactical fitness, tactical athlete. Um, so it has changed significantly. I mean, when I was in the 80s preparing for the Naval Academy, it was really just running, pull up, push up, sit ups. That was about it. Um, and even when I got to the academy, it was the same thing: running, pull up, push up, sit ups. Wasn't a whole lot different from it. Then in the 90s, uh, it started to evolve a little bit. Not crazy, but it was still mainly calisthenics and cardio were primary elements of fitness that they were focused on versus strength and power, speed and agility, things like that. And then after 9/11, it started to evolve with them putting in these combat fitness tests, such as carrying ammo cans and running with them and push them up over your head, to simulate picking up an ammo can and putting it in a tank, type of thing, or armored patrol vehicle. Carrying people, dragging people, things like that, um, are simulated combat activities. But I would say they did a pretty good job with creating obstacle courses back in those days, in the early days, 70s, 80s, 90s. And those obstacle courses were as close as we got to kind of like combat conditioning. And then by the time you got into your units, you really understood that everything you've been doing until that point is a base, but not quite enough. So you needed to start doing more load bearing activities and rucking and everything you did carrying gear, you're always going to be 20 to 50 pounds heavier. So your training had to start doing that. Now people are smarter and they start preparing for that long before they actually get to the training and get inside their units. So now it's a lot more. Before 9/11, nobody spent money doing research on military, law enforcement, and firefighter fitness. Nowadays, it is you can find countless studies on all of them, and it's very helpful because now we got some science backed into it, and um, it's not the same as you would train an athlete who needs to get really great at strength, power, speed, and agility and ignore endurance and muscle stamina to a degree, depending on whatever sport that is. Some sports just need to focus on endurance, get great at endurance, and ignore strength and power, just the way it is, depending on the sport. Whereas the tactical athlete has to be good at everything. So that is the difference between an athlete and a tactical athlete, and how I have seen it evolve in my 35 plus years of either doing it or coaching it. All right, let's see. C. Ray, hey, buddy. Good to see you. Has the quality of SEAL candidates gone down over the years, in your opinion? No, absolutely not. Not a bit. I mean, they're a different generation, but they bring new skills that older generations don't. It's In fact, if you listen to the Sean Ryan show and you'll see Captain Geary on there, he talks significantly about Gen Z and what he sees the difference in Gen Z. It's really fascinating and funny. Fun fact there: Captain Geary was one of my guys back in the '90s, so I was part of his preparation for Buds. You know, when he was at the academy, and knew him well. Great kid back then. Now he's a great human, great man. But no, I would not say the quality has gone down. I think if anything, they're in better shape, better prepared because there's just more information out there about being prepared versus what we were. We didn't really have the internet and books and things like that to actually prepare. We just went on word of mouth and hearsay. So better prepared. However, attrition rates are the same or worse, and it's still people have a misunderstanding of what preparation is, even with all the information out there. And people like me trying to coach people in you need more time to prepare. There's still 18-year-olds that show up and are ill prepared, but I think that's just universal. No matter what generation you are, 18-year-olds know everything. And be honest with you, it's it's hard to find 18-year-olds who actually will listen to a coach and do what a coach says. That's the difference of the few percentage points of 18-year-olds that make it through Buds, in my opinion. I think most people who have been through would agree that there needs to be an age limit on people who go into spec ops, and that needs to be at least 20. Just keep the teens out of it and watch the attrition rate drop from 80% to probably 25%. Have you heard of twins making it through Buds? Me and my twin want to be SEALs. Yeah, there's a couple of them. Marcus Luttrell and his brother. Can't remember his other brother's name. But, Luttrell brothers made it through. There's a couple others that made it through. I remember there's a set of twins that went through when I was there. I can't remember their last name. I think they were like Italian last name. But yeah, it's happened. Um, let's see what happened to the, yeah, they made it through. Um, have some nerve pain that goes down my left side shin. Any advice to recover from that? Can feel it all the way to the ankle and it hurts when I squat down. Harry, I'm sorry, I have no idea. Um, usually when it comes to nerve pain, I'm talking to somebody who is in the medical profession, and not just a trainer or coach. I mean, I've always dealt with nerve pain either through physical therapists or doctors, or I got lucky and manipulated it out, and whatever was pinching it, I was able to figure it out through stretching and massage and moving and twisting. Um, but I don't know is the best I can do on that one. And I would talk to somebody who can actually figure out where it's being pinched and things like that. It might even take some, MRIs to be able to tell you. So I apologize in advance for what I'm trying to ask is confusing, but is there better to be belly down for the glide or staying on your side fine too? Tend to swim faster on my side. It does not matter. It is completely preference to the swimmer to how you want to glide. I have just found that if you glide too much on your side, some people will come up and float and just plow the water with that shoulder, which that level of surface tension's just slowing you down. So what I do is I just rotate over about 45 degrees instead of rotating all the way over on my belly. I have a 45-degree compromise that keeps me underwater during the glide. That's the only reason why I do it. And I like, instead of skimming the surface with a top arm pull, I like getting at a different angle. I can go deeper, grab more water, pull it and push it with that freestyle catch for that top arm. So that's why I coach it and recommend it. Let's see. Treading water is hard to practice for me here in Florida, especially being on the tall side. All pools are 6 feet max. Should I be more open water? Well, I mean, I'll be honest with you. 6 feet is plenty depth to tread water, especially if you're trying the egg beater, because you're almost like you're sitting down. I mean, I can tread. I'm 6 feet right at it, and I can tread water in 3 foot water, 4 foot water, because you're just sitting in the. You're not extending your entire body out to do it. There's always your legs are bent, whether you're doing scissor kicks or egg beater kicks. Watch some egg beater videos and watch them. I mean, like a 6 foot tall dude, instead of being this tall, is going to be like this tall. It's going to be like 4 feet. Just the angle that you are. Looks like I answered everything over here. All right. Looks like I answered everything, showed all my swims. You guys have any more questions before I go? Because I'm about to do a podcast here in a little bit. I'm going to show this little banner here. So if I missed your question, it reads, post it in the comment section, or email me, stu@stewsmith.com. I will answer you by email. Check out stewsmithfitness.com, and there's tons of programming over there, coaching, um, as well as a savings of 15% if you use the live15 coupon code for sticking around this long. I do appreciate it, and you can save that on books and training and coaching and things like that with that live15 coupon code. Yes, somebody said last question looks like about the egg beater. Do you have suggestions for hip mobility for the egg beater? Yeah, absolutely. In fact, there's an article called Treading Might Be a Mobility Issue. I want you to, well, over there on Instagram, you might have to Google it, but over here on YouTube, I can put the link in the comment section and send you right to it. Follow that link if you want to see follow that link if you want to see the article and stretches that will help you. TJ asks, how many miles a week do you currently have your guys doing? We're on a progression right now. I'd say right now, I think we're at like 30, 32 a week, but we're at the beginning of the summer. By the end of the summer, we'll be up over 40. Right now, it's I'm glad you like those Instagram posts. Appreciate it. But yeah, we're progressing. You know, as with anything, you shouldn't just jump into a 40-mile week. You know, it takes us a couple of months to get there. So, you know, we're only like in the second or third week of summer. So we're going to take this throughout September and probably be peaking by August, September. So, would you consider egg beater to be a necessary technique to learn if you can tread in a different way? No. In fact, I didn't know what the egg beater was when I went to Buds, and I got through scissor kick left, scissor kick right, scissor kick left, scissor kick right. Wasn't fun, but as long as you know treading sucks and you got to put your A game into it, you'll be fine. What's boot camp look like for the Buds guys? My recruiter said they got rid of the 800 division. Well, supposedly they brought it back. Supposedly the 800 division is back, and they're doing workouts early in the morning before the day starts for the regular boot camp guys. So other than that, it's the same. You know, you got to learn to be a sailor before you go to Buds. That's just the way it works. It's not a whole lot of fun, but that's the way the system works. So expectations for fleet returnees. Well, expect to be a leader because you're dealing with dudes that just got out of boot camp and officers that just been wearing their butter bar for a few weeks for most part. So they're going to rely on you for understanding all things military. So be a source. And if you're a returnee, you obviously have some understanding of what Buds is. So use your history to help you and help others. That's what they expect. All right, guys, I gotta go. I will chat with you guys next week. I'm thinking about making more of these lives each week and may come up with different formats. If you guys have suggestions, ideas, let me know. I have some more time in my schedule. So I think I'm writing fewer articles. And so I'm thinking I'm going to go blow this up with some more live Q&As and podcasts and things like that. So let me know what you think. I will chat with you later.